Hello dear students, welcome back to another online session. This is Simi, lecturer English, St. Gregory's High School and College. Dear students, how are you all? I believe all of you are fine by the grace of Almighty Lord. In our previous lesson, we have been discussing about connectors. In part 1, we have discussed the difference between sentence connectors and conjunctions. In the second part of this lesson, we have discussed the classifications of sentence connectors. And in this lesson, we will discuss sentence connectors in details. This lesson will help you to learn some more sentence connectors. You already know that in your exam, you will get fill in the blanks and you have to fill those gaps with sentence connectors. There will be no clue, so you have to store sentence connectors in your mind and you have to fill up the blanks by your own. So this lesson is pretty much important for you all. Not only for your exam but also in your daily life. Whenever you speak in English, then you have to use sentence connectors. So dear students, this lesson is very important for you all. Now let's get started. At first, let's check out what we are going to discuss in this lesson. Sentence connectors in detail. Use of different types of sentence connectors. Which connectors to use to mean similarity, contrast, result, addition and listing, exemplification, particularization, emphasis, refutation, and so on. And after that you will get an exercise on the basis of connectors and then soft alert of the next lesson. After this class, you will learn the uses of different types of connectors. You will learn where and how to use sentence connectors in a sentence. You will be able to use different types of sentence connectors in sentences. To mean similarity, we use some sentence connectors like likewise, similarly, correspondence, by the same token, in the same way. All these connectors are used to mean similarity. So dear boys, try to keep the words in your mind because you have to fill up the blanks by your own. There will be no clue. So it's very important to keep these words in your mind. Here we have an example. Men must wear a jacket and a tie. Similarly, women must wear a skirt or a dress, not trousers. So here is similarly. This sentence connectors is used to mean similarity. The next one, she was late and I similarly was delayed. Here also you can use she was late and I in the same way was delayed. Alright. The next one is you can't teach navigation in the middle of a storm. Likewise, you can't build a system of values in the current educational climate. So here this likewise indicates to similarity. Right. The next one. Here we have contrast. To mean contrast, we are using some sentence connectors like nonetheless, in contrast, conversely, however, yet, still, on the other hand, nevertheless, even so, in spite of this, despite that, or despite this. So these all connectors are using in sentences as sentence connectors to mean contrast. So these words are used to mean direct opposition. For example, Rupa worked hard. On the other hand, or in contrast, however, Rajul hardly did any work at all. So here, on the other hand, in contrast, and however, these words are directly opposed the first sentence. Rupa worked hard. On the other hand, Ratul hardly did any work at all. Extroverts love crowds. In contrast, introverts prefer solitude. Here also, this in contrast directly opposed the first statement. Extroverts love crowds. And also, these connectors are used to mean denial of expectation. That means to mean unexpected result, we can use this type of sentence connectors. For example, she studied diligently for several months. Nevertheless, or however, or yet, or nonetheless, she failed. So here, she studied diligently for several months. That means the expected result is she will do well. But she failed. So when this type of situation arrives, unexpected result arrives, then we use this type of sentence connectors. George is very handsome, yet he is not popular with girls. So here also yet is used to mean unexpected result. Usually if someone is handsome, then everyone get attracted to him. But here, although he is handsome, he is not popular with girls. So this result is unexpected. To mean this type of situation or this type of consequences, we use this type of sentence connectors. To mean result, we use some sentence connectors like consequently, accordingly, thus, therefore, as a result, as a consequence, hence, for this or that reason, because of that or because of this. For example, he passed his exams, therefore, or thus, hence, or accordingly, or consequently, he had some good news to tell his parents. He passed his exams, therefore, he had some good news to tell his parents. Next one. Mr. Brown is an outstanding scientist, hence, he is highly respected. So, to mean result, here we have used hence. As Mr. Brown is outstanding scientist, for that reason, he is highly respected. He lacks self-confidence. As a consequence, he is unlikely to be successful. So dear boys, here as a consequence, this connector is used here to mean result. He lacks self-confidence. As a consequence, he is unlikely to be successful. Also, besides, further, moreover, furthermore, in addition, first, to mean first, we use firstly, first of all, to begin with in the first place for one thing. Secondly, second in the second place or another thing. Thirdly, third in the third place. Finally, lastly, last of all. We use this type of connectors to mean addition and listing. For example, John plays football. Moreover, he runs a restaurant. We can say John plays football. Moreover, besides and also, he runs a restaurant. Leah writes short stories. In addition, she writes articles for newspaper. So here we have used this in addition or this sentence connector to mean besides writing the stories, she also writes articles for newspaper. So these type of sentence connectors are used to mean addition and listing. So to mean time, to indicate time, we are using some sentence connectors like at first, afterwards, later, then, in the meantime, meanwhile, and so on. For example, I read the morning papers for a while. Afterwards, I took a shower. So here we have used this word afterwards to mean time, to indicate time. First, insert the receiver and then insert a coin into the coin box. So here also this connector first is used to mean to indicate time. The next one, the party Tuesday, but in the meantime I have to shop and prepare the food. The party is on Tuesday, but in the meantime I have to shop and prepare the food. In number 6, we have exemplification. To mean exemplification, we use this type of sentence connectors like, for instance, for example, to illustrate. Women generally live longer than men. For instance, in the United States, life expectancy for women is 75, while it is 73 for men. So for exemplification, here we have used for instance. Earthquakes can be highly destructive. To illustrate, the earthquake which occurred in Argentina in 1939 devastated the whole town, killing more than 35,000 people. Particularization. To indicate particularization, we use this type of sentence connectors like in particular, particularly, specifically. Shopping in small markets is quite advantageous. In particular, one can find specific items that larger stores do not contain. So to mean particularization, here we have used in particular, the connector in particular. We still needed to arrange several details for the trip. Specifically, we had to make plane and train reservations as well as decide on the final itinerary. In fact, as a matter of facts, indeed, actually, these words are used to emphasize. He is quite healthy. In fact, He is one of the richest men in the city. I like reading. As a matter of fact, it is my favorite pastime. Explanation. That is, in other words, that is to say, namely, these all connectors are used to mean explanation. When it is needed to explain something in details, then we use this type of sentence connectors like that is, in other words, that is to say, namely, and so on. For example, the brochure dealt with traveling in Morocco. That is, or in other words, or namely, it discussed transportation, currency, and language. The machinery was not impaired, that is, it wasn't damaged. So, on the contrary, this connector is used to mean a reputation. She is not ugly, on the contrary, she is a good-looking girl. I don't hate classical music, on the contrary, I am very fond of it. So dear students, we have already discussed so many sentence connectors. Try to pick up the sentence connectors. That will be very helpful for you. So here we have some blanks. We must be aware of the dangers of smoking. So this passage or this text is about smoking. Try to fill the blanks and submit it to the comment box. Dear students, hopefully our next lesson will be a practice lesson. That means that class will be a practice class on sentence connectors. That's all for today. Take care. Thanks to you all.